Hello, I'm Antonio Mora. This is the newsandnews.com Day in Brief on April 17th at about 7 p.m. The cable news networks were already in a frenzy over the release tomorrow of the redacted Mueller report, but the news late this afternoon that Attorney General William Barr and Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein will hold a news conference at 9:30 a.m. has generated hyperventilating and almost frantic speculation. I suspect that once we actually read the report, many of the pundits on the right and left will again look just plain silly. President Trump said he might answer questions tomorrow as well. Leading up to the report, his tweeting and public pronouncements are nothing short of schizophrenic. This morning he wrote, quote, "The witch hunt has been a total fraud on your president and the American people. It was brought to you by dirty cops, crooked Hillary, and the DNC." Mind you, that is describing the same Mueller probe he has repeatedly celebrated as fully exonerating him. The Mueller mania is also evident in multiple reports from both conservative and liberal media that say Republicans who cooperated with the special counsel's team are racked by breakdown-level anxiety. They are said to fear the Mueller opus will reveal who provided information that might be seen as damaging to the White House, leaving them open to political and professional retaliation. Also, House Democrats are prepared to subpoena the Justice Department as soon as Friday in an attempt to force it to hand over the full, unredacted Mueller report. Let's see how extensive the redactions are and whether Barr's offer to find an accommodation with Congress goes nowhere. If in that case, we should prepare for a tough court fight. The 18-year-old Florida woman who launched a massive manhunt and forced the closing today of all major school districts in the Denver area has been found dead from a self-inflicted gun wound. The FBI and Colorado police had described her as infatuated with Columbine and extremely dangerous. She reportedly traveled to Denver and purchased a firearm and ammunition, triggering lockouts at almost 24 schools on Tuesday and then full closures today, forcing hundreds of thousands of students to stay home. The 20th anniversary of the Columbine massacre is Saturday, and this incident has opened old wounds. You could call it the comeback of Notre Dame. Nearly $1 billion has already been raised to rebuild the cathedral in Paris. The funds are coming from around the world, pouring in from ordinary worshipers, business tycoons, and major corporations alike. Initial estimates of the costs of reconstruction and restoration are between $1 billion and $2 billion. French President Emmanuel Macron committed to rebuild the Gothic masterpiece within 5 years, promising to make it more beautiful than ever. France's Prime Minister announced a competition to rebuild the iconic spire, which came crashing down in flames. Today, Notre Dame's rector said the cathedral would need to be closed for 5 to 6 years because part of the structure is gravely weakened. An expert at France's cultural ministry said that if firefighters hadn't acted so quickly, all would have been lost because there would have been a chain reaction collapse. A huge part of the U.S., from the upper Midwest to Texas and from Florida to New York, is facing a multi-day severe weather threat that comes on the heels of storms and tornadoes that killed 9 people last week. This outbreak began in the plains and Midwest today, and it will bring tornadoes, dangerous winds, large hail, and flooding rains. With river basins across the Midwest already flooded, the continued onslaught of precipitation is expected to aggravate the ongoing major flooding in the region. The Trump administration is intensifying its crackdown on Venezuela, Cuba, and Nicaragua. In a speech in Miami on the 58th anniversary of the Bay of Pigs fiasco, National Security Advisor John Bolton announced the rollback of Obama policies and new sanctions on what he has called the Three Stooges of Socialism. The measures will hit Cuba hardest because they cut back on travel from the U.S. and limit remittances to the island from family members in the United States. However, it could be a move to increase pressure on Venezuela because of Cuba's support for the Maduro dictatorship. Bolton claimed, quote, "The troika of tyranny, Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua, is beginning to crumble." Hundreds of emails and texts are painting an even worse picture for Cook County State Attorney Kim Foxx in the Jussie Smollett case. They show she continued to communicate with staff responsible for prosecuting Smollett even after she had publicly recused herself. She dismissed the actor as a washed-up celeb who lied to cops, making it clear she thought the 16 felony charges brought against him were excessive. All charges were later dropped, provoking outrage that Smollett had gotten off easily because of his fame and Chicago politics. Amazingly, it appears Fox and her staff notified police just moments before the announcement, and were then shocked at the outcry over their actions. Fox has defended the decision, saying she was elected to pursue criminal justice reform and was just insisting that colleagues pursue charges consistent with the gravity of the crime. Prosecutors are seeking 4 to 10 months in prison for actress Felicity Huffman, who paid to help her daughter cheat on the SAT. That is on the low end of the federal sentencing guidelines, which the judge is not required to follow. Huffman said she would plead guilty for her role in the college admissions scandal that touched many of America's most prestigious universities. Finally, artificial intelligence is facing a diversity crisis that could have serious consequences in law enforcement, employment, education, and healthcare, as algorithms and facial recognition technology discriminate against women and minorities. Research just released by New York University's AI Now Institute finds the bias is linked to the demographic makeup of the people who program AI. The authors claim, quote, the issues of discrimination in the workforce and in system building are deeply intertwined. The numbers are stunning, with women and minorities dramatically underrepresented among AI research staff at major corporations and universities. AI-driven technology is expected to increasingly shape society in coming years, so it's an important issue that needs to be addressed. We have all those stories and much more updated around the clock 7 days a week at newsandnews.com, where you'll find all you need to know in one place. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking on the right of your screen just below this video. Please follow us on Facebook at Real News and News, and me on Twitter at AMora TV. I'll see you again tomorrow.